Welcome everyone to the one of the best brews I think I ever made. With some inspiration from big tournaments and big events that were happening, I tried to build an ESPER competitive build to climb up the rank and not only to reach my diamond, but also to reach higher points like mythic and so on for just to getting my free packs. This deck will make out of you a better player because as more you play it, as better you understand different patterns and different play abilities, not only with removal and counter spells, and I'm not proud of it running counter spells, but to decks like this deserve it or need it to run because there are some powerful spells like Invoke Despair that we definitely need to take care of. What makes my deck so special, I'm gonna go shortly through it, but I think it's definitely the whited creatures or additions from white that we got with Brothers War that makes this deck much more powerful, also different, and play patterns are much more differently than you have it maybe with Esper Legends or the meta Esper that currently everybody is playing. And I'm talking here for the first about our Laurent of the Third Path, a 3 mana 2/1 that has Vigilance and says when it enters the battlefield it deals with an enchantment or artifact. And we are thinking here a little bit bigger, not only we can remove Bankbuster, but also we can deal with opponents ramp like Mindstone and Big Stone, but also with his big hitters like Sky City Leveler and so on, where this creature is just amazing to do. But also if we run out of cards, it's a great tool to give our opponent and us cards, but usually we do it on the end step of opponent, so opponent cannot profit it fully from it. Then we run Recruitment Officer, 1 mana 2/1 that has the ability to find you all your 3 drops or 2 drops or whatever you're looking for in the late game, but also in the early game, just applying pressure against mono blue and other decks that need some time to keep rolling. This creature is amazing because suddenly by turn 4 or 5 when the opponent can't do something, they're already on 12 or 10 life, and this put them in a really difficult situation to handle the board. And then the creme de la creme is our Resolute Reinforcer, 2 mana, and this creature I wanted to play since I saw the spoilers for our geeks, because this is just a super overpowered combo to play Resolute Reinforcer on your opponent's turn and then on turn 3 instantly go in and draw 2 cards instantly out of nowhere. Is really difficult to deal, but also the flash ability plays amazingly alongside all our 2 drops, and you see we play here 3 copies of Make Disappear. I'm not proud of it, but it needs to be done because Fable of the Cheeky Bricky needs to be countered, and if opponent don't play anything, we have still our Resolute Reinforcer to apply some damage every turn. And then on our 4 sports we have of course one of the best planeswalkers, Wandering Emperor 3 times, and one of Sheoldred, because I tried at first to exclude Sheoldred, but then there is a really neat interaction with Laurent, because suddenly if opponent draws cards they lose life with Sheoldred, and I have only 1 copy of, because sometimes against aggro decks it's just an amazing card. And to top end everything, this is Ao, the Downsky 5 mana 5/4 flyer that not only allow us to finish out the game against soldiers that try to go wide but don't have maybe some flying protection, but also give us the ability, if opponent is a mid-range or control opponent, removing Ao to popping up something on the board like Sheoldred, Wandering Emperor, or one of our super powerful 3 drops to finish out the game even if opponent removes our top end. For the mana base I went with 26 lands, and first I ran with 24 lands, then I increased it to 25 and 26 because our average is 2.6, and in this case I would like to run with 24 lands, but this deck somehow suffers to even draw the 4th land sometimes, and you will definitely see it in the gameplay part, and I recommend you to check out the gameplay part because it's more educational. I try to show you the pattern as much as possible, but you will learn with this deck. As more as you play this deck, you will become better at it, and being able to recognize the pattern from your opponent but also from yourself will definitely help you to improve in this game. If you are interested in best of 3, let me know down in the comments or join my Discord server. You find the link down in the description to enter the Discord, and we can maybe work out something together for the sideboarding so you can play it in best of 3, because I consider this deck being a very highly competitive deck where you can take up on Grixis or Azorius or mono white soldiers, but also against other Esper decks I found myself being always in the upper hand because we have such powerful creature implement here that we can easily finish out the game before my opponent does. With this being said, I wish you a lot of fun in the gameplay part, and let's go straight there. Welcome everybody to this better Esper, an Esper list that I consider being better than a lot of others for a simple reason, because I try to optimize it for best of 1 but also make it user friendly and more entertaining to play than the typical Esper list. And we see here, for example, one of the best examples instantly in the opening play, let's say, why this list will perform amazingly, because we can be so aggressive and so incredibly powerful that our opponent often cannot keep up with. Because this play that I'm making right now on the play is the best opening we can have in the whole freaking game. And I just see that we cannot do it. But still, we can draw cards of it, we can make stuff bigger, and we can provide ourselves with a lot of card advantage and a lot of possibilities. Here, if we would have another black source, I would have shown you this opening that I meant with Gix and these two creatures that can just draw you so many cards. And my opponent on mono black also with the Gix, and this is definitely a very interesting approach. How are we doing that is the question. Because I can go with Shield, right, and then interact with something my opponent can provide with our cut down, and I think this is what I want to try to do, then to set up a big attack with our Raffine. This is why we're gonna go next, pass, and create 2 tokens that gonna help me to jump block the Gix so my opponent cannot draw cards, but in the same time remove the menace creature so we can get some extra value out of it. So let's see how my opponent wants to... Wow, this is a very interesting approach from my opponent. So let's see the following. We can deal with Misha's Foundry. We can deal with one of the skeleton. And I think from here we are pretty safe. Let my opponent draw 2 cards, but I think I'm gonna apply so much pressure on my opponent that it will be really difficult to recover from. Okay, Raffine into the Officer, so Officer gonna hit the board, Raffine, sure. We're gonna create more tokens, make them a little bit bigger, and we have here also our Resolute Raffine open that can be really painful for my opponent to deal with. Cut down, of course, my friend. 3 mana open, let's see what he has to offer here. Because we can effectively block everything my opponent has, and then swing back for a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. Shade, not a biggie. My opponent goes all in, we are going to Resolute Reinforcer here, create some tokens taking out things here. Not a biggie that we're gonna get exiled. Not everything gonna die, just 3 creatures gonna die, so this is definitely something is not really bad. My opponent has a countdown better here than on our Raffine, because Raffine is a B, we need to Raffine. And AO joins the party, we still don't hit our source. And do I attack with both? And keep the thingy here? I think so. I believe so, because I wanna draw 2 cards, we're gonna put 2 counters here on Resolute. Countdown can go, and I think my Gix can go, because I definitely wanted to hit more lands, but... Or let me put away countdown, because I think... I will need my Negate later against... And still no land, wow, 26 lands by the way in the deck. So we're gonna see if my opponent can do something here effectively, plus 5 hit can go. So we're gonna block here and say, do that, my friend, do that, do that, do that, do that. 3 mana open, there is not much to do for my opponent. Wow, and still not a single freaking land. Let's go and pump our token. Game, I salute you. You can go, and one go for short can go, or one AO can go. I'm not looking to cast double AO. And this looks freaking amazing, what is currently happening. It's okay. How many lands we could not draw is just incredible. 6 mana on my opponent. opponent double attacks, we're gonna block here Mystery Shadow, obviously. My opponent will invest a lot of mana into him, and then I'm gonna go for chop with it. One more. Perfect. I can die, because this will make my AO not being able to exile. Opponent can draw one card, but what I can do with 2 mana, I don't know. And I'm certainly not sure about that. But if I see it right, my opponent is dead. He's dead. So let's go, and this will be definitely something we're gonna try to reach our diamond, because this deck has the potential for it. And here we are against Naughty, just on the play, just reviewed, good hand on the play, make disappear on the draw is a little bit better, but I'm not sure. All the pain lands. Just reviewed my deck again. Yes, I run 26 lands. It was unbelievable what was happening there. So let's see. I think I'm gonna play Refined Tower, because I don't think I need to counter something on turn 2. I don't wanna waste to make disappear on a 2 mana spell. I want to counter something for 3 or 4. So my opponent most likely also has make disappear in his hand. This is why let's go with nothingness. Not gonna play into the make disappear from my opponent, because I can next turn start flashing stuff in my opponent's turn. Painful Mending, of course. So most likely some sort of reanimation deck, right? Here we need to get our spells right, our counter spells. Double land goes down. Interesting. A red source too. Oh, okay. This is a perfect counter spell here. Countering Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Playing you, Invading Announcement into the Officer, I think is the most pressure I can put on the board, because next turn we can start drawing cards, and this will be really painful for my opponent. Because Wandering Emperor can also bait my opponent, let's say, to resolve a counterspell or to play a counterspell, and next turn a Refine will play around make disappear, right? Because my opponent has still 2 mana, because thanks to the Sensios. Bitter Reunion, okay, not a biggie at all. Discarding another Bitter Reunion, oof, nice one. This is actually a nice draw here. Let's take some damage, because we need to take some damage. Attack with both, put the counters on you. Land and another Wedding Announcement, so Wedding Announcement and the land can go. Because we have already a Wedding Announcement, and we will have more creatures here. Laurent is actually also really good, because if my opponent ran Sky City Leveler or Portal to Pyrexia and so on, Lauren can deal with it. This is why she's in the deck. Not only because it's also great synergy with Sheoldred that I discovered when I was building Orzhov draw cards build. I still wanna show it to you, but it's a little bit more jankier version. Brother Sudan, sure, not a biggie at all. We have replacement for 2 creatures here. Pass. And my opponent, let's see if he has a counterspell. Because this will definitely take it out, and then our Laurent path is free to go. 2 mana open, not sure what my opponent can cast for 2 mana here, maybe another of the Fateful Mending. Oof, amazing draw. So let's go all in, and let's maybe try to play a little bit around. The land is good. Your card draw on the stick, you are good. Don't think I need you. I think you are a little bit too slow too. Let's play it like this. Because this allows me to play Lauren and still keep up the counterspell, right? This is my plan to do. Wandering Emperor is something for creatures that needs to be exiled. And don't forget, we're gonna draw also. You tap right. Yes, my Sweetheart, you tap right. Arena tapper, auto tapper is just a sugar. And we gonna destroy the sensors because maybe my opponent also runs some counter spells, so we don't wanna give him too much advantage and possibilities. And I think this is a lethal board for the next turn. So if my opponent do not resolve a super powerful spell, that Negate most likely will negate. Board game, so then my opponent is dead most likely. But we're gonna see now, right? They can have burn down the house, they can have another Brotherhood end. Negate will negate it, and this is why we need the 2 extra mana, because if my opponent would have the Celestus, he could be playing Make Disappear, and this could negate my negate. Too many negates, but let's go next. Here we are in our third game. We go first against Infocat, cool name. And what do I think about this hand is really difficult. We have some card draw, we have some interaction, but it's a really slow hand. So by turn 3 we could theoretically interact with something. The question is, do I want to keep this hand or not? And I believe I do. And we have double black for our geeks. We can try it. If AO will be something else, it will be amazing. For example, another land will be amazing, untap land. But AO is here a little bit off. Let's mulligan, let's mulligan. Sure, sure. Skip this hand. Take away, make disappear is a pseudo removal in this case. So yeah, let's do it like this. Just in case my opponent is mono black, playing turn 3 Flash Gorgorer will not go for throat with it, but make disappear will go with it. And my opponent looks like a mono red opponent. Okay, so counter spell on turn 2, most likely incoming, because I don't want adversary hit me for 3. A Boros opponent, okay. Boros opponent is interesting, definitely. Virtuoso. Let's counter the Virtuoso. Virtuoso is gone because I think my opponent is a really depending opponent. Here you see maybe also the power of Laurent to deal with enchantments and artifacts, because this is a clean answer for our Kumano Faces Kakazan plus a body on the board that will draw us extra cards. And we're gonna hope for drawing extra cards, because I would like to resolve my Wandering Emperor on curve. Right now Refined Tower is tapland, so we're gonna see. Would like to keep Negate and also Wandering Emperor as a possibility open. Okay, looks good to be honest. Let's see if my opponent falls for the trap, because we can. Or is he gonna take the 2 damage and I can activate it and draw some cards? No, my opponent is falling for the trap again. So be it, right? Removing his gold-worthy creatures, because this, I think this is a Boros spells deck, and they don't run so much creatures, usually between 12 to 16 creatures, and if we remove the creatures, the rest is spells, pump spells, like Angel Fire Ignition and so on. This deck looks to win usually on turn 4, turn 5, pretty consistent with a lot of life gain and double striking trample damage. Removing the creatures is much more worth it than, let's say, risk the life of my Wandering Emperor, because will be difficult for my opponent. And in the end step, we're gonna draw an extra card with my Laurent of the Third Path, so my opponent cannot get value out of this card, right? Because let's say he will miss a land drop, like here, sure. I can draw with my opponent an extra card, and this is not a big at all. Not a card that I was wishing for, although I can play you and keep Negate open. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Then we're gonna plus on our geeks. And keep the negate open, just in case my opponent try to interact or with wandering or with something else. For example, like here. No card draw and no ++, so my Wandering Emperor is safe. And we're gonna see from here what we can draw, what we will draw. Right now, hits, for example, like AO will be a sugar, a really good hit. And also, my opponent has more cards than I am, but it has not much to say about different things. We're gonna see. Also, my opponent most likely sits with an Angel Fire Ignition in his hand. This is why this will be a 3-3 Dumble Striker. Wandering Emperor will not survive it, even if I put Gixem in the way of it. So this is why we're gonna most likely start let's attack and then I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do. Because we're gonna draw an extra card with it. Make action. Make disappear. Let's go white.
Guards, to me.
Let's go white. And let's see how my opponent wants to point the damage. Because right now I want my opponent to attack my Wandering Emperor to be able to draw more cards with our Resolute Enforcer. I think X is pretty safe with 4 toughness. Let's counter this one. Right, it's gonna create constantly token that's gonna block my tokens. I don't want this to happen. Okay, Infocat had enough from counter spells. I understand it, but I'm sorry, this is how the deck function and how it should function. So 2 more to go and then we're in diamond, my friends. So here we are on the play again. Magic is nice today to us, but this deck functions also on the draw. I hope you're gonna see it in some games. And I'm gonna just add a little bit of my Metal Coffee, because as Absenta said, everything runs much smoother with Metal Coffee. What do we think about this hand? It's definitely one of the more aggressive hands, but we are missing black source. I believe that Wedding Announcement is able to draw us black sources. Although, if this is an aggro opponent... Sure. Maybe not mulligan aggressively will damage my plays, but we saw it already in the previous game that this mulligan was actually really helpful to us. Let's go, let's see if my opponent wants to trade with the officer. He doesn't, so let's go and play another tap land. And see if my opponent will allow me to resolve something. Let's go attack again. Let's play the Takuma. And let's end the turn. I want to bait out the counter spells from my opponent, obviously, or to deal with his board, right? Currently, can cut down the Delver even if he transforms, and this will allow me maybe to enable the play with Wedding Announcement. Gonna resolve to consider. I want my opponent to counter it, right? I want opponent to use the counter spells as much as possible. Now with 3 mana, I feel confident that if I do something now, he maybe tries to interact with it. Sleep out the back. Okay, 2 mana left. 2 mana left. Let's attack and bait again, because there's no reason to try with 2 mana open to try to resolve something, because I need 5 mana, even if he has Make Disappear, for example. Right, I need 5 mana. Sure. Let's see if Impu is gonna find my opponent some solutions here. Still not transformed. Don't know what my opponent is doing there, but we're gonna see. Pass. Let's deal with the genie. Okay, an impulse. Impulse is not a removal spell. This is good. If we remove the genie, we can also resolve our wedding announcement, and I think from there my opponent will have a tough time to do anything. And there is also our 5th land. Now we can resolve our wedding announcement, because I think go wider, go stronger is a better answer than to remove his Delver. Sure, my friend. Let's see what you can drop again. A Terror, okay. Terror is annoying. Definitely an annoying creature. But nothing that I am really concerned about, let's say. So, in this case, I think main phase kill and see. Wow. Okay. I believe my opponent is running on Essence Capture. This is why we're gonna keep it and make the board a little bit wider. Thrill of Discovery, okay. My Refine Tower will hold the priority. Okay. Let's cycle things. 2 mana open. Three mana open. Keep. There now you see maybe the possibility also going long game with our Recruitment Officer. This is why he's in the deck. He's not the main like target, but he will definitely find us creatures to play. Definitely, like there is no question. Maybe sometimes we're gonna miss, but still a good investment for 4 mana is definitely there. And my opponent throws up his terrors on the board. That is okay. My tokens will help me with it, and now we can activate our Recruitment Officer and not find anything. Resolve. So in this case, let's go like this. Let's go with Refine Tower. Next. No attacks. And the turn. Could be a difficult matchup, but we're gonna see. Okay. Sure. 1, 2, 3. Block here. All the tokens go on a block. 1 token will survive. Right. Delver. Sure. 4 mana left. Another Delver. Okay. Let's see what we're gonna draw. Here we have Refine Resolute. Let's go and attack with our officer. I'm not looking to cast a Gix. Okay, nice trick. So you think my opponent mostly has protection stuff? I believe so. Let's kill one of the flyers, because I need a Raffine to block the flyers. And the turn, create a token, gonna help me to block again, and he knows about Resolute, right? So Fading Hope, this is game. Fading Hope on Raffine, and then he can kill me. A little bit unlucky, I would say. Or maybe I played a little bit too pussy-like, because he... Because he didn't have really much counterspells. He had mostly protection from something, like Shore Up and the thingy. No need to block, because this is 3 damage in the air and we don't have an air blocker, so let's go next. On a blue, happens. And here we are, finally on the draw. Who would thought that we are happy to be on the draw? This is a really good hand to represent how it is on the draw, except that we need an untap source to hit on turn 2, so we can represent how Make Disappear or Raffine Resolute is working on the draw. My doggy is going crazy. She knows that we were not gonna drop untap 2 source. Maybe. Looks so white, like mono white taxes. Okay, then the tapped land is not as painful as it looks like against our Talia, because we're gonna see turn 3 anyway. So for my opponent, turn 4, what my opponent has to offer there. And so far I don't see a lot of action. Okay, interesting. Let's go with you and let's see what my opponent is gonna do. Another Italian is okay. So opponent gonna tax me pretty hard. We gonna counter this spell. Don't like Siege Veteran. So my opponent is all in on taxes. Let's play you. I can play you and I can cut down, right? Right. Next. End the turn. Wandering Emperor is, by the way, an amazing draw that we are hoping to resolve on turn 5. In my opponent with 5 mana. Another Veteran is okay. We are going to cut it down. Next. Pass. We're gonna play our Resolute Reinforcer and take out a little bit of the damage, so the 3-powered creature we're gonna chumpy. Yes. And something for 2 mana? Nope. Okay. Then in this case, we're gonna just pass the turn again, not turning into daytime, and now we have our Wandering Emperor to deal with Atalia. Five mana. Wandering Emperor. And we're gonna deal with it, I think, a little bit differently. We're gonna plus on our Resolute Reinforcer.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
Fucking finger, I'm sorry. I wanted to block Talia. Resolute Reinforcer, okay. So now we're gonna minus on you, yes. Pay the extra tax. Gain some life.
You are not much of a roadblock.
And keep the removal and counterspell open. Okay, in this case we're gonna counter it. Don't want Kaya thingy to resolve mono white soldier stuff. Opponent goes all in. I cannot save our Wandering Emperor, but I can take a favorable trade, I would say. And here we can start now popping with some tokens. That will definitely help me to stay a little bit alive, to establish a little bit of board dominance. Frontier, not a problem. And only Italia in the hand. So I think we recovered here pretty solid against this opponent. Gonna stay back. Create another token. See what my opponent has to offer there. Brutal Qatar, not a problem at all. My opponent wants to double spell. This is why he wants to play the Talia too. And this is totally fine. Totally fine what he wants to do and what he tries to do. He goes with this 1-1 on what? On you, okay. Then let's do it the following. Let's remove the token. Let's block the frontier. Take the 2 damage. Let's see if my opponent wanna play the other Talia. Most likely yes, because he wants to double spell, right? My turn. Okay, my opponent don't wanna do anything because he's saving his brood for something else. In this case, we are gonna just chill, make everything a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger. And because they're not running blue, they don't have this dude that makes everything flying if they have 5 mana. So this will definitely play into my possibilities. Do you actually help me somehow here? They don't have any artifacts and enchantments, right? Yeah. So let's play Lauren out. Submit 0. End the turn. No attacks. There is currently no profit from attacking. Here we have some profits from attacking. How much cards do we draw? 1, 2... 2 cards is good? Yeah, because I wanna go down to 4, right? I don't wanna go down to something less. So first striker, 1, 2. Draw 2 cards, take action, take action. Oh, AO is actually a really good draw. So we're gonna end the turn. My opponent can take the geeks, but this will be totally fine, totally okay. Right now, right here, this is everything we wish for. Because AO will for sure start taking over the game. Flying 6/5. There is not much my opponent can do about it. Oh. I'm sorry. Sorry. 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry. This is how it works. This is how it is. If you wanna win, you need to play it, and we go next. And here we are on the play against Miguelio. Miguelio is a happy dude that we can show off this pattern too. So you see maybe also depending on how often the Recruitment Officer is in our opening hand. And this makes this deck just a really powerful addition, let's say. Or in this deck powerful addition, because not only it's a mid to late game possibility to draw a bunch of cards, also we represent currently, how you say it? You can cut it down. I will not counter cut it down with make disappear. We represent currently also, like in the late game, the ability to draw things. My opponent playing the Dimir colored makes me a little bit scared, but feel confident that my opponent has more cut downs and bounce spells than counter spells. So we resolve our turn 3, and this is really powerful for us, and maybe counter my opponent's turn 4. My opponent miss out on the land drop. Me too, but let's see. See what my opponent has to offer here. And I think I'm not allowed to miss out on the wedding announcement, because we need to apply pressure as early as possible and see what my opponent is doing there. With 3 mana there is nothing that is really dangerous for me, or this is powerful. On 4 mana they can play Sheoldred, they can play other powerful spells. Cut down is not a powerful spell, sometimes. But there is where I want to keep my Make Disappear open, right? We build up now our board, make it stronger, we have enough cards for it, we just need to go a little bit wider. Danik, not a problem at all. So my opponent is also on Esper list. Wow. Not drawing the land here is terrible. This is why I'm gonna cut down things. Or like go for throat. Attack for 2 and draw 2 cards because we need the land drops. We need the land drops. We at the 26 lands cannot draw you a consistent turn 4 drop, huh? Okay. That plant is not a good answer for it, but at least some answer. And now I'm a little bit scared because Sheoldred can hit the board. And I'm currently lacking an answer for it. Okay, Miguelio had enough. One more game, my friends. One more game and we are in Diamond. And I believe this deck has the abilities for it. I'm certain that it has to reach even higher heights than Diamond. Preuss is our opponent of Diamond. This hand looks really weird, but because being on the play or on the draw, Make Disappear and Cut Down are 2 powerful tools to being on the draw, I'm gonna keep it and hope that we're gonna top deck our white source that is more dominant in our deck than anything else. Opponent so far is it Grixis. Grixis is good, so we're gonna instantly cut down the Blood Tide Harvester and see if we have here. Wow, game, don't do that. I already see being on the draw, not drawing even a single white source. Oh, here we have our white source. Let's go next. My opponent sits also with a counter spell. And now my opponent will have difficulties to interlap with this one, because this is definitely a play that is possible to Make Disappear and creatures on the board. So we're gonna hit more lands, this is good. My opponent still keeps up the counter spell most likely. And do I care about it or do I care about this one? End the turn. What makes it difficult for me to play Sheoldred, I have only one Sheoldred, and what makes it difficult is that my opponent, or I don't have the double white to play my Wandering Emperor, my opponent just passing the turns, so I would consider to cycle his token here, because this is actually a weird approach from my opponent. A Praetor. Not a biggie, pass. So let's see what else my opponent has there in the hand. Here he has Kakazan. No, only the Corpse Appraiser. Corpse Appraiser is not a biggie. 2 mana still open, so my opponent can counterspell. Maybe it will be smarter to counterspell the Corpse Appraiser. Would have been smarter. Am I again pushing out a little bit too much? Not sure about that. Missing out on land drops is definitely a little bit painful, and I mean, we started with 2 lands, is okay, but Interesting top deck. And slowly but surely I have the suspicion that my opponent don't even run counterspell. There is more removal in his hand than counterspells, but we're gonna find it out. If he plays again something for 3 now, I'm gonna... Okay, there it is. We're gonna counter it. Okay. It's not a draw I wanted to have, but definitely okay-ish to progress maybe from here. But I think my opponent has some interaction for Sheoldred. So all the creatures from here didn't do anything to him. Spending 2 mana to remove it is okay. Not gonna block. 3 mana open. 4 mana open, I'm sorry. Brotherhood End, okay. Sure. Let's play you. Let's keep the Wandering Emperor flashed in. Opponent cycles a land, okay. It's okay.
Nobody knows Dominaria's shadows like me. You won't be outsmarting me.
Opponent discarding a land. Interesting, so let's go and play our Wandering Emperor. No resistance here.
Anyone who harms my people, may your blade strike true. We've got the edge in this fight.
Ugh, I really don't have time for you.
I keep the Lauren of the Third Path to exile it, just in case my opponent runs Brotherhood End to deal with my creatures and planeswalkers. Need to do it. I need to do it. But so be it. Because Sorin will take the game to my fast over.
Drop it.
We're gonna discard the Lauren. Opponent with cut down. You see, this is a good discard. So now we're gonna play our Raffine. Play our Samurai.
We must protect the people.
Opponent can discard my thingy, it's okay.
I'm tired of your secret.
Oof, great draw. This is a really good draw. Will pump me up a little bit. Gonna go here. Gonna go here. Gonna go here. Here. That.
This isn't how things were supposed to go.
Draw another land, is okay. So I think now we got it, right? Corpse Appraiser is a really powerful draw for him, because he can also loot for 5 mana something. This can help him really much out. Another Corpse Appraiser, okay, and 2 mana into something. We're gonna see what. Okay, 2 lands on top. We're gonna go plus on our token.
Strike
Attack here.
strike hard.
Put the counters here, just in case if we draw something. Okay, you and you can go. There's no counters needed. Next. Next. There's a lot of damage. My opponent needs to be really careful what he's doing. Okay, Wedding Announcement is actually also not bad. And we are also already out of reach of Brotherhood End. Right, so there is not many things my opponent can do here. Actually not gonna block.
I'm never done.
If it's Brotherhood End, it's dead. It's if it's how you call it? If it's burn down the house, it's dead, right? So there was no reason for wow. So let's go next. What can he ask for this amount of mana? Let's put it on you. Heretai, okay. Resolve. Resolve. Extra card draw. Next. Next. Hit for 4. Play another waiting announcement. And play a tap land. End the turn. Okay, okay. Everything is okay here. My opponent is Sheoldred, sure. Pass. No answers here. I'm gonna kill a Sheoldred. Not interested to deal with it here. Then we're gonna do the trick 17, attack for 5, he will double block it, I'm gonna kill one of them and keep my token alive. Smart will be to triple block it, but then I will deal with everything. This way we kill just one of them, save our token, kill the other token, and keep the 5 mana. Sure. Sure, my friend. This is where Resolute Reinforcer is a powerhouse. So we're gonna flash it in. This creates 4 power and toughness on the board. And this 4 power and toughness gonna point to my opponent where he is dead. Oof. Finally, my friends, on Video Diamond, I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you like it. The question, is this deck worth to craft, I think is not standing even in the room. This deck is, I like it. If I win, I like it. Yeah, if you lose, if you win, Wizard, learn out of it. Learn out of it. Stop asking these things, huh? If this deck worth crafting or not, obviously amazing deck. Every single wildcard is worth it. Every single card in it has a purpose and has a thing. And I think it's not the most expensive deck that you can build. Yes, there are a lot of rares and some mythic, but we also have some commons and uncommons where I think this deck is maybe better compared to other, for example, the ESPER Legends and so on and so forth further. I think this deck has also really good potential to go in best of 3, especially against Grixis. We saw it here, Grixis, mid-range Grixis control outvalued in best case scenario, let's say. And if somebody looking for a sideboard for this deck, if you are interested in best of 3 or into the sideboard guide, as I already mentioned, let me know in the Discord or let me know down in the comments. We can work on something together if you want, because I think if there is some bigger tournaments or something else, I consider to run this deck because we have the access to a lot of different values in these colorations, not only in Planeswalkers, but also in counter spells, removals, but also aggression, taxes. At first I was also considering to run the Peacekeeper, just maybe 2 copies of it, just to have the information what my opponent is really playing and to tax the Invoke Despair so that it cannot be cast on curve. But then I cut it for our Lauren because she deals with enchantments and artifacts that are currently taking over the standard ladder, not only with mono red but also with Celestial enchantments and so on. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you like it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Ciao!